Hello, and welcome to the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. My name is JT Olson. With me, as always, is my co-host, Garrett Ballard. Garrett, how are you doing today?
Doing better. I've been all over the place because of school the last week or two, so I've been a bit um, frazzled. Just schedule not really set yet. And then this week, I'm just trying to get ahead. I'm going out of town this weekend, so been all over the place. But we're good. My camera's out of whack again. I'm trying to. I don't know. It'll reset. How are you?
I'm pretty much in the same place. School has started, and
Mm.
it's kind of that beginning of the year chaos, trying to get the schedule going, but we're getting there, one day at a
Exactly.
time.
Exactly. Shouldn't be too much longer till I'm back in my normal routine. Just had to get settled in.
Yep. And my favorite part about this time of year, school starting back up,
Hmm.
football is back.
That's correct.
We have week one regular season action this Sunday. And there's a lot to talk about because we weren't available for last week's episode. We just couldn't make it work with the schedules. So we never got to talk about cuts. And then, this is kind of the last time to talk about anything preseason prediction wise. So let's start with cuts and the final roster. And there were a couple of surprises that people made note of. And let me just get your thoughts. Was this the final roster you expected?
No, I don't think it was the final roster a lot of people expected. I mean, just starting off the bat, just based off of preseason, I did not expect Tyler Johnson to be the receiver getting cut, one of the veteran receivers to get cut. Um, Obviously, it came out that his lack of special teams value was a big deterrent in him making the roster, which is understandable. I mean, I don't fault that. When you have depth guys like that with a room like the Bucks, if you're a receiver, you got to have depth value because you're not going to be seeing the field a ton just because the guys ahead of you are so good. And he didn't have any. He was only playing receiver. So I understand it. I wish it was different because I think he is kind of starting to come on in his confidence and seem to have been hitting stride a little bit. Um, Excited to see what he does with the Texans. Always a Super Bowl champion. So
Yeah, and that whole thing with the special teams, that came off as very unauthentic to me.
hmm.
Because you're right, I think all those things you said are true.
Hmm.
But then when you turn around and keep Rashad Perriman on the roster over Tyler Johnson, who also brings no special teams value, it feels like you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth a little bit if you're Coach Todd Bowles.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I would have opted for the younger player there. With I think at this point in their careers, they offer similar offensive value. Maybe they see something with like a punt gunner role for Perriman coming on just because he's got the speed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't really. I see what you're saying though, and I don't disagree.
And you know me, I was not high on Tyler Johnson coming into this year. He
Yeah,
was like the 10th wide receiver on my radar to start training camp.
right. Same.
And then he had a great training camp. He was the best Bucks receiver in training camp.
Yeah, by a wide margin, I think.
So I kind of expected him to make the team because he was outplaying people.
Mm.
But I mean, I guess it's a reflection of how far he had to crawl his way back into the good graces.
Yeah,
But
I second that.
yeah, and that's my thing. If that's your reason, that's fine. I'm totally fine if you said Tyler Johnson wasn't good enough.
Mm.
We like Rashad Perriman better. We think he's a more talented player. We think he's a better blocker. We like his deep speed. Any of those reasons, I'm fine with. There's justification there. But it just did not come off as authentic to say we didn't like his lack of special teams value and then keep someone whose career has had no special teams value.
No,
I
I
mean,
definitely agree.
keep Devin Tompkins if that's really the reason. A guy who can return kicks. He is a very good special teams player, by all accounts, coming in from college. If that's what you want, you've got that. And we still have it on the practice squad. But
Mm-hmm.
that was my only real bone to pick with the Tyler Johnson thing. I probably would have kept him over Perriman. I would have kept Miller because I think a lot of people wanted Scotty Miller kind of out of town. They were kind of not
I
impressed with
thought
his
he was
camp.
gonna be out of town. I
Yeah,
I
a lot
liked
of people
keeping
did.
him,
Yeah.
but he was bad the last two games.
Yeah, he had drops, and you can't have drops.
Mm. Um, Anything else? I something stood out to me. I don't want to hog all the the stuff. So if you had anything roster cut wise, what you got?
I was sad to see Grant Stewart go. And it wasn't a cut, it was a trade. We swapped our 7th-round pick for the Colts' 6th-round pick in exchange for Grant Stewart. And yes, I understand keeping Fudagali over him because, by all accounts, he's a better linebacker on the field. At the same time, the Bucks' coverage units have not looked good. Not in the past, not in the preseason. It's a point of weakness. And Grant Stewart was probably our best special teams player. So to take an area where you're not strong in and then get rid of your best player in that area, a guy who's a legitimately good player by league standards, that isn't something I wanted to see. I could have lived without one of the offensive linemen we kept as opposed to Grant Stewart, because that 9th, 10th offensive lineman is going to be inactive on game day anyway.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I get it from the special team standpoint, but I think. I mean, you had just KJ Britt. Like, if you got an injury or Devin White goes out for a quarter, and you got to stick a guy in there, and you after that you only have Grant Stewart, I don't really like that. I think in that situation where you like we were talking about it, if you have a really deep room, I like picking for special teams, but at the same time, if you have a really shallow room, I'd rather have players that can play the actual position than focus on special teams. So I mean, we got to pick out of it. I'm not super like, oh no, we lost Grant Stewart. I mean, I will miss his special teams tackles, but you can probably find those somewhere else, hopefully.
Hopefully, and I'm hoping Fudagali will be able to play that same kind of role and play it at a similar level. But you're right, the linebacker group is not strong because I don't have a ton of faith in KJ Britt. I think he's a really good physical run defending linebacker in the box, but I don't like him sideline to sideline. He's slow.
I agree.
And Fudagali might be our best backup linebacker. He might be better than KJ Britt long term. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Do just want to say before you keep going, it is Olakunle Fatukasi. I don't know what you're trying to call him as, the first or last name.
Fatukasi? How do I say it?
Fatukasi.
Fatukasi. That's my bad.
No, you're good. You're kind of like blending the two. So
I probably am. I haven't looked at the name. I'm just kind of going from memory.
Yeah, I had it up right there. So I was just going to point that out. But the other thing that I wanted to point out is specifically Rachaad White. Obviously, we expected him to have the running back 2 job, and he does, but he also has a starting kick returner job.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
I think a lot of people expected it to just be Darden across the board at punt and kick, but that's not the case. I think Rachaad White has a lot to offer. We've talked about his evasiveness and patience, and I think he can do it well.
Yeah, you and I are both high on White, and you said it: patience, vision, elusiveness. He's got all the traits you'd want in a good kick returner. I wish he was a little bit faster, but you know what? I will take vision and ability to find space over pure speed any day.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited to see what he does. And that's what I saw. I was trying to remember something that I saw like a tweet of yesterday. It's that the Bucks are looking to lessen Lenny's load, which means more Rachaad White, which I'm a big fan of. I think he's going to do big things.
Oh yeah, I don't want to compare him to, these great top tier running backs like we've compared him to Le'Veon Bell from a skill set wise, but I want him to be kind of that Alvin Kamara role. I want him to get more touches, give him 8 to 10 carries a game, maybe, and then
I think a perfect comparison: Tony Pollard.
Yeah, same role. That guy who can catch it, he can get a couple of touches. He's a playmaker.
I think he does kick returns too. I think I really like Tony Pollard's skill set, and I think Rachaad White can bring that to the team. Speaking of Tony Pollard, the Buccaneers are playing the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1 of the 2022-2023 NFL season. That is coming up in just a few days on Sunday in Dallas this year, not in Tampa. that was a crazy. I was at that game last year. That was nuts. Opening week, it was so fun. But what do you think of this Cowboys team? New year, they've got some new pieces, lost some pieces. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that this is a Cowboys team that's on the decline. I think their offensive line is kind of deteriorating before our eyes.
Hmm.
With Tyron Smith, I think, is on injured reserve.
Yep.
And really, this was the best offensive line for years and years. And then they added Zeke Elliott, and this was just an absolutely terrifying group up front with that running back. But now it's just kind of Zach Martin and a bunch of guys. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest takeaway is this team, they're weakened in the trenches. They lost Amari Cooper. This offense is really kind of fell off from even a year ago when we saw them last.
Yeah, and I think the most dangerous part of their team is Dak Prescott. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and he deserves a lot of attention because he's going to make plays. We saw it last year. He was that game was a close game. He was Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb were tearing us up. One of those guys is gone. They still got Michael Gallup, who I think we can handle pretty well. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to be a problem. But sorry, my light. But I think if our defensive line is going to do what it should do, and that is completely dominate the line of scrimmage, this game will look a lot different to last year. Because even last year, they still had Connor Williams. Smith wasn't healthy, right?
His health has been so up and down. I don't remember if he was healthy for that game or not.
He was either like not healthy and then came back, or he was healthy and then got hurt again and is coming back now and then got hurt. I think that was it. I think he was healthy. Obviously, still got Zach Martin, who's probably the best guard in the NFL. I think he is the best guard in the NFL. I don't want to say probably. And like you said, now it's really just Zach Martin. I mean, they signed, was it Jason Peters?
Oh, yeah, they just signed him.
I mean, that's a good patchwork, but what, he's like 41? They got a rookie in there who I think could be a pretty good guard. We've talked about Tyler Smith in the past on our draft episodes, but day one, that's not going to get you anywhere. That's going to be a real struggle, especially up against the D-line with Will Golston, Akeem Hicks, Vita Vea, Logan Hall, and then the edge rushers. And it's going to be a tough matchup.
And looking at their depth chart via our lads, that rookie Tyler Smith, he's listed as a starting left tackle right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's not even playing the position they drafted him to play. He's playing the position he played in college.
So they're playing Peters at guard?
I don't think they're anticipating he'll be ready yet.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think last I saw he's going to be on the practice squad and work his way into game shape.
Okay, can you read their line left to right tackle?
Yeah, starting at the left, you've got Tyler Smith. Then you've got Connor McGovern at left guard, Tyler Biadasz at center, Zach Martin at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle.
Yeah, so I think all of those players, aside from Martin and then obviously Tyler Smith, because we haven't seen him play yet, have struggled in the NFL. Specifically Steele and Biadasz. I think they've really had their ups and downs. It's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of Vita Vea's biggest highlights last year, just absolutely manhandling Biadasz and driving him into the backfield. And he just absolutely blew him up and took him 5 yards back. It was just an absolute domination.
Yeah, I mean, I just think our defense is going to kind of or specifically the line, because I mean, Dak can make plays with his feet. He can extend plays. He can roll out, hit some throws on the run. So I'm not discounting that that's going to be the end all be all, but our defense is going to be dominant and going to give us a real advantage to win this game.
And kind of adding injury to insult right there, Michael Gallup is on the injury list for the Cowboys as a limited participant in practice. So
that's brutal.
It might just be
if he plays, he's not 100%.
That's looking that way. So I don't know what the injury is. I just saw the injury report that Greg Allman tweeted out earlier, and the Cowboys had 2 people on it, and one of them was Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I mean, conversely, you look at quotes from Todd Bowles this last week saying that he expects everyone to play for the Bucs. There's not a person that, I mean, you can look at the injury report and there are limited participants, but he's like, yeah, he'll play. That's, I mean, trending healthy for us, aside from the people already injured, of course. But it's definitely looking in our favor.
Yeah, I think the only two who will probably be out for the Bucs are Zion McCollum, who's still working his way back from an injury. He did not practice, and I think Giovanni Bernard did not practice with an ankle.
Yeah, I was referring to starters mainly, but you are correct. Those guys I think will be out. Let me just pull up this. I have the quote sheet from Todd Bowles today. Todd Bowles just kind of was asked, what are the takeaways of this Cowboys team, so we can kind of get a inside look at what the team's thinking. So they're quick on the defensive side, big up front, and they got ball hawks in the secondary. I think that's the big part you got to look at is the ball hawks in the secondary. Trayvon Diggs, obviously one of the best ball hawking cornerbacks in the league, will probably be matched up with Mike Evans if I were to guess. They might put him on multiple people, but if I were to assume, he'd be on Mike Evans for the majority of the game. And then you got, who are their other corners? Do you have it up in front of you still?
I do. Anthony Brown listed as the other outside corner.
Okay.
And Jordan Lewis listed as the nickel.
Okay. So you're going to have Russell Gage probably primarily matched up against Anthony Brown. And then, I mean, I say that, but he and Gage are going to, Godwin and Gage are going to flip from outside to slot a lot, if I had to guess. I take our guys. I mean, I think Anthony Brown is a solid number 2. Chris Godwin could be a 1 in just about every team in the NFL. Russell Gage, I think, is probably as good as a wide receiver 3 as you can get in the NFL right now. Jordan Lewis is a safety. It's going to be a struggle for these guys outside of Trayvon Diggs, and I even think it could be a struggle for Trayvon Diggs. For as good as he was as intercepting the ball, the dude gave up yards.
Yeah, Diggs is extremely feast or famine as a cornerback. And I think he will be on Evans a majority of the day because, one, he's a playmaker. And if you're going to be covering Mike Evans, you have to try and make a play. You have to take a risk. You have to create a turnover.
Right.
And 2, he can match up with him a little bit in terms of size. Trayvon Diggs is 6'2". So if you want to try and neutralize Mike Evans' size a little bit, he's really the only option they have.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely I think it's going to be a fun game. I mean, I think if the Cowboys are able to cause a little bit of dismay with the Bucs and get them a little bit flustered, it's going to revolve around Micah Parsons. That guy, we saw what he can do in his rookie year. The Bucs are having some inconsistencies along the offensive line. I think it would be kind of, is Wirfs playing? Yeah, Wirfs is playing. He said he expects everyone to play. I think they should try and do what Todd Bowles does and rush him up the middle a lot. I know that he was pretty much an edge rusher last year, but if they kind of use him like a Devin White, they could see a lot of production and tackles for loss from him if they even just rush him between Hainsey and Gedeke, because those are 2 inexperienced guys who've never started an NFL game before. It could get scary if the Bucs let him run wild.
Yeah, and that's what makes Parsons so dangerous. Not only his talent and his athleticism, but his versatility. He can be kind of that Devin White role where he's a threat to blitz up the middle and cause chaos and havoc at any given play. He can also move out to the edge, and then they can bump a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence inside and kind of play that 3 technique role. Then you've got Parsons on the outside, Lawrence on the inside, and that's really not a great matchup either way for Gedeke and Hainsey. I mean, as much as you don't want Micah Parsons in there, you probably want DeMarcus Lawrence even less.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, neither of those guys are fun to play against. I mean, they're both top 10 at their position. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is a really underrated edge rusher in the NFL.
Very underrated, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a stud. It's going to be a tough matchup. I think we just got to they're going to really have to scheme up help for that side. I think you're going to see a lot of. I can't even. It's tough because they're next to each other. Like if we still had Jensen and say like, no, that wouldn't even make sense. I don't know. It's tough though.
It's one of those situations where you're really going to see the value of a pass blocking running back, Leonard Fournette stepping up and making that block, or even Rashad White, who's by all accounts a good pass blocker.
Mm.
And this will be his first real NFL action, so we'll see how good he really is, with kind of full speed games that matter. But by all accounts, he's good at that. There's no reason to think he won't be able to handle those blitzes coming up the middle. So really, that's the best way to kind of account for it. Maybe a guy like O'Keefe, kind of in a wing position, kind of comes in and does a trap kind of situation. There's ways to scheme it a little bit to protect them, let the Cowboys think they're getting pressure, and just kind of lure them in. But a lot of it's going to be just head-to-head, best on best. It's going to be Gedeke one-on-one versus, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, even, the lesser tier guys like Neville Gallimore, who's a pretty explosive three technique off the ball. He could just beat him with speed.
Yeah.
So this is it's not one of the top tier defensive lines, but they have some top tier talent and they have some quality players along all around.
Absolutely. What else you got in terms of the game?
I just think it's going to be low scoring by both teams. I think this is a game in the mid to low 20s because of that offensive line situation for the Bucs. It's one of those things where they have to show that they can do it. And I feel confident with Hainsey, what he showed in the preseason, I felt pretty comfortable with. Gedeke, I thought, showed improvement between the Titans game, where I thought he was a little bit of a train wreck, and the Colts game, where I thought he did a fairly nice job handling DeForest Buckner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he got absolutely blown up on a couple of plays in that Titans game versus
Jeffrey Simmons?
No, not Simmons, or not the Titans game, the Colts game. Grover Stewart.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he just blew Gedeke up on like consecutive plays in just the most embarrassing fashion. So I expect to still see that this week. There are going to be plays where he's on his butt and think something got blown up in the backfield.
Yeah. On passing plays, we're going to see a lot of, I guarantee you, the running back will be lined up behind the left guard.
And I think that's what you have to do when you have any quarterback, let alone a 45-year-old quarterback who's really means so much to our offense.
Yep. I mean, either the running back behind the left guard, or you're going to have Keeft in there chipping the end, and then Smith kind of pushing inside, getting helping Gedeke out a lot. But we'll see.
Yep. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely taking the under 50.5 points in this game. And I feel similar to what I did last year. I think it's a different feel for the game coming into it. But I feel like this is a game the Bucs should win semi-comfortably. I don't want to say comfortably because I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means. But I think this is going to be a little bit of breathing room. They're always kind of at arm's length, but the Bucs are never really threatened.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, it could be back and forth in the first half, just like to 10 or 14 or something. But I think in the second half, I think the Bucs should be able to settle in and kind of just pull away a little bit. Not like you said, not a ton, because I think it is, like, I agree with you, the under, because I think both teams' O-line struggles are going to be weighing on them. I think the Cowboys more than the Bucs, which I think is going to give the Bucs the edge. And I mean, if it's a close game, I don't think it'll be this close, like a last drive wins type of game. But you bet on Tom Brady. I mean, there's never been a more clutch quarterback in the NFL. And the guy he knows what to do in those situations. I don't think it'll get to that situation, like I said. I think the defensive line is going to really set the tone and kind of, how do I say it? Just get them uneasy. That's what I should say.
Yeah, it's the kind of game I could see with the final score being like 24-20, but the Cowboys get a late touchdown to make it look closer than it was.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good prediction there.
What are your thoughts on the Cowboys overall this year? Do you feel like this is a measuring stick game as a playoff contender versus a playoff contender?
No, I think we're pretty. I think we're a good bit better than the Cowboys. I think as the season goes on, our offensive line is going to settle in. I think theirs is too, but I think at the core, ours is more talented. I think our team is more talented. We have the better quarterback. I'll take our running backs for sure. I like Pollard, but I like Lenny way more than Zeke, I think, right now. I'd easily take our wide receivers. Love CeeDee Lamb. Our depth is unbeatable. I take our defensive line. I take our linebackers. Yeah, I take their corners and safeties. Not safeties. I take our safeties. I think I take their corners. In terms of consistency.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And this is a Dallas team that hosted a playoff game last year. They were the team that won the NFC East. So this was a good team last year. And, I mentioned earlier, I thought they've taken a step back and their window's kind of on its last legs, if not closed already. But there are a lot of people who feel like this Cowboys team is still a playoff team, a good team that could contend to win the East, which I don't think they will eventually. But there are a lot of people who still think very highly of them.
I think they could be a playoff team, but a wild card. Like I think the Eagles, like we were talking about, the Cowboys took a step back. The Eagles took like 5 steps forward, I think. Even if I don't believe in Jalen Hurts being the guy there long term, I think the roster they've built around him is very good, and they've given them a very, very good chance to win that division. The Cowboys didn't move the needle for me a ton this offseason. They've kind of just stayed stagnant at best. And even though they got the better quarterback, I think they're relying way too much on him. They're putting a lot on his shoulders right now and really not doing anything to help him. So.
Oh, yeah. They got worse across the board. Offensive line, receiver, everything with the offense got worse around Dak Prescott.
I agree.
And you know what? Coaching matters, and I don't believe in Mike McCarthy as a coach.
I don't either. I do not.
So, yeah, this feels like a game. The Bucs are a Super Bowl contender. The Cowboys are a fringe playoff team. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. It's a game that I feel like the Bucs should handle semi-comfortably.
I agree. We should win. It should be 1-0. And it is a primetime game. It is Sunday at what, 8:25?
Yep. It's the Sunday Night Football.
Yep. It's a big one.
All right. Any final thoughts on Week 1 victory prediction?
How about before we wrap up, give me 3 bold predictions. Oh, and I wanted to do an exercise also, so we can do these too.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I've got my bold predictions already locked and loaded. Just put out an article this past week, 5 bold predictions for the Bucs.
Go check it out, Bucs Report. JT's got you covered.
One of my favorite ones, Akeem Hicks leads the Bucs in sacks this year.
I was more so talking this game, but I like it.
Oh, okay, just this game?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stick with this game then.
Check out JT's article for the season though, because I bet those are sick.
I'd like to think they're all right. They're good.
That one sounds pretty spicy to begin with. I like that one. So
hey, Akeem Hicks is a dude. If he can stay healthy.
Oh yeah.
This game though, Mike Evans, 150 yards.
150. Okay.
Yep. Godwin's coming back from injury. He's probably going to have limited snaps. Gage is coming back from hamstring. Julio is, we'll see what he has left in the tank. I think it's going to be a heavy Mike Evans game, and we already talked about how Diggs is feast or famine.
Yep.
Bold prediction number 2. Oh, I didn't have these ready.
No, you're good. That's why it's fun to do them on the fly. I can give my first one if you want to think about it for a little bit.
Yeah. Let's hear your first one.
So I think my first one is that Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is going to have 2 sacks. I think he's going to really come out of the gate swinging and open a lot of eyes because from what I saw from that guy last year, just his ability to get in the backfield and just wreak havoc with very limited pass rush repertoire. Uh, the sky's the limit for that guy. I think that guy's a freak.
Love that prediction, particularly because I think Terrence Steele stinks, and Tyler Smith was drafted to be a guard, and he's playing left tackle.
Yeah, you got a good matchup either way.
All right, bold prediction number 2. Give me a Sean Murphy Bunting interception. I know
I like it.
Jamel Dean won the starting corner 2 job, but Todd Bowles said Murphy Bunting is still going to be getting a lot of snaps. So I think playing outside is his more natural position, and we know he's more a ball hawk than Dean or Davis. So I think they're going to test him, and I think he's going to be a little bit more kind of like Trayvon Diggs in this game, a little bit feast and famine. I think he's going to get burned, but I think he's also going to make a play.
All right, I like that one. My next one is that Rachaad White will have 75 yards receiving
Ooh,
and a touchdown.
I like it.
I think, we saw what Lenny can do receiving last year. I think White takes it up a notch and adds an element that Lenny doesn't have. I really like what Lenny can do, and I think he offers a really unique skill set. I think Rachaad White's a really good complement to that. I talked about earlier how the Bucs are going to take a load off of Lenny, and I think that primary load is going to be receiving. I think you're going to see Rachaad White take a lot of the receiving snaps, and he's going to thrive in it. I think he's going to take that Giovanni Bernard role handily and just run away with it early.
I like it. We are both big Rachaad White fans in this chat.
We are. All right, one more. What you got?
All right, let me go a little bit of the opposite of the bold prediction you just gave.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, under 50 yards total.
Wow.
Rushing, receiving combined. I think they're going to dominate the run game because that's what the Bucs do. They dominate the line of scrimmage. They have the linebacker play to get wherever Zeke is trying to go. And yeah, Zeke can catch the ball, but he's not all that fast. You talk about Leonard Fournette coming in at 275 into training camp. Zeke Elliott's he came in 300 pounds last year. It felt like the dude is not always totally engaged in his fitness. So there's a little bit of work ethic question there. How bad does he want it? I don't think he's really going to be able to do much against this front.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a similar one, not really in terms of the defensive line, but I think Dak Prescott's going to have under 250 yards passing. I think that's really CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a good game, and then the rest of the yards are going to come on a little dink and dunk and probably get him to somewhere around 225 if I had to bet. Of course, I could be wrong, but it's a bold prediction.
Yeah, and I think between our two predictions right there, it kind of goes into what we were saying earlier. This is going to be a defensive-heavy game. The Bucs defense should shine in this.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I want to run one more little drill. You've probably seen these. You probably made a couple of these tweets on Twitter in your time on NFL Draft and Bucs Twitter. Give me your MVP, most improved player. Actually, cut that one. Not most improved player. Yeah, that's kind of hard. Give me your MVP, your offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, and rookie of the year for the Bucs.
For the Bucs, MVP, offensive rookie, defensive rookie, and what was the other one?
Offensive player and defensive player, and then just rookie of the year overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So MVP, I have to say Tom Brady because he's the quarterback, and MVP is really a quarterback award, especially when the quarterback threw for over 5,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Offensive player, it makes sense to say Tom Brady, but I'll change it up. I'll say Mike Evans. I think Godwin coming back, he's going to get a lot of targets early on. He's going to get 1,000 yards. And I'll go a little bold, and I'll say he's going to set his career high for touchdowns in a season. I think he tied it last year with 14, or he set it last year with 14. I think he's going to get a little bit more than that.
Like that.
Defensive play. Oh, defensive. That's a tough one because there's so many good options. I'm going to say Shaq Barrett because he's going to get his chance to shine. He's the main dude now, and he's always been the main dude, but I think he's going to move around a little bit more with JPP gone. It gives him a little bit more versatility, I think. And I think he's just going to eat.
And then
And
rookie of the
then
year.
rookie of the year, I'll say Rashad White, because I think Logan Hall is going to be, a little bit part of the rotation. He's not going to get a ton of snaps. He's going to be a consistent role player this year. Gadecki, I think, is going to struggle as he transitions, and I think White is ready to hit the ground running right now.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna echo with your offensive or MVP and your rookie of the year. So Tom Brady for MVP and Rashad White for rookie of the year. I want to say Mike Evans, but I'm going to pick someone else for offensive player of the year just so I don't copy 3 out of your 4. I'll say Chris Godwin. Hey, he kills it coming back from an ACL. I mean, we know what that guy's capable of. I could easily see him tearing it up this year. Also, if I were to include a comeback player of the year, he's easily the winner of that for both of us, I think. And then defensive player of the year, I'm going with Antoine Winfield Jr.
Ooh, I like it.
I think that guy is. I mean, he all-star last year. I think he's going to take it to another level this year. I think that guy's going to get straight up all-pro level safety play. That guy, he can do it all and does it all at a high level. I don't think I've seen that guy play a bad game of football with the Bucs. I might be forgetting something, but I think that guy's going to completely ball out this year and really open eyes. And then I'm going to just throw in another, I said, most improved player, not Shaq Barrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I'm a big fan of him also.
I like it.
Yeah.
You think he's getting double-digit sacks this year?
Yeah, I do. I think he's really good.
I think so. I think he's so athletic and so bendy.
Yeah.
He's made to rush the passer.
He really is, and I hope he's developed his moves enough. Because if he hasn't, I'm going to be sad. But I think he has a really high potential.
Especially as a number 2 on this team, with Shaq Barrett getting most of the attention.
Yeah, he's in a great position.
All right, let me flip it back on you for something.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our last podcast before the regular season starts.
Yeah.
So this is our last chance to plant the flags.
Yeah.
Who are your division winners, your Super Bowl matchup, and your Super Bowl champion?
Okay, so I'm going to start in the NFC. NFC South, I'm going with the Bucs. NFC East, I'm going with Philly. NFC West, the Rams. And NFC North, the Packers. Pretty standard across the board, I feel like there. AFC South, cool. That's a stinky conference or division. The Titans, I guess. I mean, I'm not really confident in them, but I think they're better than the Colts. And those are the only 2 in the running for me. NFC North, the Bengals. NFC West. This is a stacked division. Any team could win this division. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Give Justin Herbert some love. I think that guy's legit. He's the next dude in the NFL. He's going to be like Josh Allen's getting all the hype right now. He's going to be Josh Allen after this year. Who am I forgetting?
The
East. The Bills. Just talked about Josh Allen's legit. They're a Super Bowl contender. What conference winners was that?
Yep, Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl winner.
Okay, so the matchup, I'm going to say the Bucs and the Bills, and the Bucs are going to win. That's what I got.
You stole a bunch of mine right there. So I'm the same in the NFC. Bucs win the South, Rams win the West, Packers win the North, Eagles win the East. I think those are clear-cut best teams in their divisions. AFC, I agree. Bills, I think that's going to be a cakewalk for them. I think the Jets and the Patriots both stink, and I think the Dolphins are they're interesting. I think they'll be flirting with the playoffs, but I think
I don't think
they're away.
I think the Patriots and the Dolphins are on the same playing field. I don't think the Patriots stink.
Oh, the Patriots have Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator.
I know it's not good, but it's Bill Belichick. I'm not going to count that guy out. Plus, I think Mac Jones was better than I expected last year. And if he can take a little bit of a step, I'm gonna say that I don't think they make the playoffs, but I think they're above average.
Yeah, I like Mac Jones. I think he got more hype than he needed to last year because he was on a playoff team.
Right.
But I think he's going to get more hate than he deserves after this year if the Patriots struggle.
I got you.
I don't think that roster's very good, and I think Belichick will make them look better than they are. But it's like one of those things where it's like my head tells me this team stinks, but deep in my soul, I know Belichick's going to work magic and make them interesting.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then Chargers, I agree. It's a tough division, I think.
It's such a hard. It could go anyway, literally anyway.
In my playoff predictions, I've got 3 teams from the AFC West in the playoffs.
Yep.
And the other team's probably going to be at or above 500. In the North, I took the Ravens.
Okay.
I think the Bengals had a little bit of a magical run. I think they made the Super Bowl a year or two ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting the first place schedule this year, and they are kind of going from the hunter to the hunted. I think they're going to take a little step back, make the playoffs, but I think the Ravens are going to bounce back and win that division.
I like it. I just think the Bengals, they improved so much. Like I also thought they made the Super Bowl a bit ahead of schedule, but they did what they needed to do to get back. I love what they did in the offseason. So
yeah, still a really good team. I think if Deshaun Watson were playing, that would be almost as competitive as the West with 3 really, really good teams.
The West, I guess Denver's kind of little like an unknown right now, right, for the AFC West.
They are. Adding Russell Wilson is obviously a huge thing, but how much of their defensive success are they going to keep without Vic Fangio in town anymore?
No, I gotcha. If I were to, if you're telling me who's the better division through and through, I think I'm still picking the West, just because I think the top is better than, if I were to pick, the Chargers against the Bengals, I think I'm picking the Chargers right now. And then I think I'm picking Denver over Pittsburgh, personally.
Oh, yeah. I think Pittsburgh's going to have a rough year.
Pittsburgh's bad, yeah.
Yeah. And then final division is the AFC South. I'm picking the Colts. Losing A.J. Brown, I think, is really bad for that offense. And then losing Harold Landry was huge loss. And I love some of their top-tier players. Jeffrey Simmons, you mentioned. Kevin Byard, Derrick Henry. After that, it's a lot of meh for me.
Treylon Burks, next one up.
Yeah, he's got to prove it, though.
I know. I think he will, though. But it's between the Titans and Colts, though. I have no issue with that. Yeah.
And I think they're both kind of be in that same ballpark, a little bit over 500. I think 9 or 10 wins takes that division.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And then I have the same Super Bowl matchup, Bucs versus Bills. I think the Bucs are the best team in the NFC. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. And I like the Bucs in that matchup because they're front.
I agree. And their wide receivers also. We saw. They got a rookie. I love Kyrie Elam. I think he's going to be legit. But a rookie DB is not an easy position to play. It's a big adjustment. So.
Yep, I think we see the league mostly the same, and I think this is another year where the Bucs should be right there at the end. Let me ask you kind of on that thought process. Is this year absolutely Super Bowl or bust, or is there any wiggle room for...
No, it's Super Bowl or bust. It has to be. It's Tom Brady's gone after this year. Without him, with the current options, the window closes. If you're not going all out this year, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything less than a championship is a disappointment for me this year because the team is that good. The NFC is not extremely strong compared to the AFC this year. This is a time to get there to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Packers are that good. I think the Eagles are limited at quarterback.
If you could beat the Rams, it's the Rams.
Yep. And honestly, I think the Rams, you could say, got better overall, but I think the Bucs match up a little bit better with them now, with guys like Robert Woods and Odell Beckham Jr. out of town. Those are tough matchups, and I think a guy like Carlton Davis can manage Allen Robinson a lot better than he could those other guys.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp is, you could throw it to him 50 times a game and he'd tear us up. But
Sure.
It's the Rams and the Bucks. That's it.
Yep, those are the best two teams. I think it's pretty clear cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up here on this episode of the Creamsicle Chronicles podcast. We had a really good time recording this one. Really looking forward to the season. Thank you guys for listening as always, and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.